Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Wednesday, January 15th, 2025. I am Dave Biddle. I'll be joined by Matt Baxendell in just a moment. 5 days and counting, my friends. It's unbelievable. I love the way the games are spaced out. You know, there's not like too long of a break, but it's not like they're playing 6-7 days later. It's about 9-10 days later each time, and it's kind of like the perfect time for the team to get a little bit of rest, but also not get rusty. So, man, 5 days away. It's going to be here before we know it. So exciting. We're going to delve into everything, Bax and I will, about this game, answer some of your questions. And by the way, I'll mention this later, but we are going to get Ryan Day later this morning, late this morning, about 11 o'clock, 11:30. We're going to meet with Coach Day for about 10 minutes at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center, and we're going to get about 5 players. They're going to bring out about 5 players for us to interview. So Coach Day and some players today, 11 a.m., 11:30, so keep it locked to Bucknuts for that. Before we bring Bax in, before we delve deep into Ohio State football talk, I want to let you guys know about our friends at Cornbread Hemp and a great deal you guys can get. In 2024, it's been reported that more people now use THC than drink alcohol daily. More people are rethinking their relationship with alcohol, looking to drink less but still have fun. Cornbread's organic THC gummies offer a better way to hang out, celebrate, or relax without the hangover. These are America's only USDA organic THC gummies. Real THC, no synthetics. 100% legal hemp, fast and free shipping. Free across the United States. Alcohol does not have to be the default anymore. Whether you're doing dry January or just looking for a healthier way to relax and have a guilt-free good time, you've got to try Cornbread's THC gummies. And right now, Bucknuts Morning 5 listeners can save 30% on their first order. Just head to cornbreadhemp.com/Bucknuts. Use code Bucknuts at checkout. That's cornbreadhemp.com/Bucknuts. Use code Bucknuts at checkout. Check it out. All right, we're still waiting on Bax. He'll jump in just a moment. I actually remember to send him the link this week, unlike last week. So I like this matchup for Ohio State. Some are like, oh, this is a Michigan, a matchup for them. It's like, first of all, I would have no worries if Ohio State played Michigan again. That was the fluke of flukes with the worst game plan ever. They just figured, we can just run right at Michigan. We're going to take our weakness and go right at their strength. And to do that going into the game, okay. But then to never adjust, it's still head-scratching. But if it woke them up, it woke them up. And that game had 2 chip shot missed field goals. So the idea that, this is a bad matchup for Ohio State because Notre Dame's a lot more like Michigan than, let's say, Oregon is. I've heard that. I'm like, that's complete nonsense. You'd much rather play Michigan if you had to win a game than play Oregon. Even though Ohio State just stomped Oregon. They also lost to Oregon this year at Oregon in a raucous environment. But I don't buy that at all. I did have a chance to ask Chip Kelly about the narrative out there. I think a lot of people believe, and I'm kind of on the fence with it, that Ohio State would not be here in the national championship game if they did not lose to Michigan. I tend to think if they would have beat Michigan, they'd still be here, but I understand it to a degree. It definitely pissed them off. It definitely let them play freer, and, it's just it woke them up. I asked Chip Kelly about that yesterday. He said coaches don't look at it like that. Like this led to this, that led to this, led to this. But I don't know. I just find that interesting. Did the Michigan game wake up Ohio State, or was that just, a weird thing that Ohio State would be in the national championship game regardless? And you know what? Regardless, they are in the national championship game, and I'm happy about it. And I'm happy to see the beautiful face of Matt Baxendell. Good morning, my friend.
Good morning, Mr. Biddle. How are we doing here on this fine freezing Wednesday in Central Ohio?
Yeah, other than waking up to 4 degrees, I'm doing great. I just, the fact that they're in the national championship game, we talk Ohio State football all year. We break down every little thing. And here we are on the precipice of a national championship. And I really like this matchup for Ohio State. I respect this Notre Dame team, but I don't buy into the narrative, this is a bad matchup for Ohio State. Before we get to that, though, I want to ask you about are you one of the people that believes the narrative that if Ohio State did not lose to Michigan, they would not be in the national championship game? I read a guy who does a pretty good job for The Athletic did a whole column about it saying Ohio State wouldn't be here if they didn't lose to Michigan.
I disagree with that, though it's very obvious the Michigan game galvanized them to make some very necessary changes. That doesn't mean this team wasn't talented enough, though, to win its way out. This isn't like it's an NFL team that started 2-6 and finished, 11-6, and that was the miracle turning point that they went on this great playoff run. I mean, this is an Ohio State team that lost prior to that disaster festival, one game by 1 point on the road to the number one team in the country. So it's not like they were doing that poorly beforehand. It's just very clearly been for them a bit of a galvanizing moment. But beating Michigan may have been a galvanizing moment too. I mean, let's face it. I think everybody talked about before that game was, well, wait till Michigan, wait till Michigan, wait till Michigan, wait till Michigan. That's going to be the regular season again next year. Wait till Michigan, wait till Michigan, wait till Michigan. It's going to start with Texas, and then it's going to be a long wait until the game that everybody kind of has their breath held for. So I don't think that's true. I think what we've seen here is the impact of that loss has certainly led Ohio State to make necessary changes. It has made them play with a little bit of extra fire in their system. But who says that getting over the hump wouldn't have done the same thing anyways? So I don't know if I agree with that statement.
I am with you. I think you articulated that perfectly, as you are wont to do. I really like this matchup, man. I just, and anything can happen. This is a very good Notre Dame team. They're gritty. They're tough. But even if they were at full strength backs, I would like this matchup for Ohio State. And Notre Dame is very banged up. Guys that will play for sure, like Riley Leonard he's a real one. He's tough. He'll play. Jeremiah Love, he's tough as nails. He'll play. But those guys are banged, especially Love's got that knee. I think Leonard's was a head injury, so, I think he'll be okay. But, Love's got that bum knee. They've got an offensive lineman that's out. He's a true freshman, but they were able to bring back an offensive lineman that they lost in camp. So regardless, though, they lost a defensive tackle against Georgia, or maybe that was against Indiana. So they played without that guy the last two games, but their starting defensive tackle is out. So, man, even if they were healthy, I'd feel pretty good about this game 5 days from now. This is a banged-up Notre Dame team going up against this machine-like Ohio State team.
Yeah, I would concur with you that the banged-up version of Notre Dame is definitely what we're looking at here. That said, though, I don't think that even a fully healthy Notre Dame team is a matchup OSU should fear. Right. I also should add, everybody's talking about Notre Dame's going to miss 2 offensive linemen in this game. Hello. Hi. We've been dealing with that all year, like the whole playoff run for OSU. Like, thank God Jonathan Jackson apparently is also an elite level tackle, because that's the only saving grace for OSU on the O-line right now. But at the end of the day, like, Notre Dame is not a good matchup for certain teams. But for Ohio State, I think Notre Dame is the sort of team that it doesn't bode well for the Irish. The way that they like to play stylistically on defense being the first thing. You and I talked about this immediately after Ohio State beat Texas. Notre Dame is one of the most man-heavy defenses in the country. Yeah. Freeman is very trusting of his defense, talks about how they're going to go and get after it. They're going to go down swinging. They're not going to put their safeties 20 yards off the line of scrimmage and triple bracket J.J. Smith. They're just not going to do it. They're going to run single coverage. They're going to try to maybe skew a guy over the top. But OSU is going to hit those bombs against Notre Dame, or at least have the opportunity to do so. And if they do hit those bombs against Notre Dame, then it's bombs away. And, at the end of the day, Notre Dame is a great team. They're the best Tressel ball team we've seen since Tressel. And that's no doubt there with Freeman being a Tressel guy. Mm-hmm. But one of the miracles of Tressel ball that we always talk about was that it beat a Miami team in 2002. But Tressel ball also got blown out by Florida and LSU in other national championship games. And at the end of the day, that's sort of where I think this is trending for Notre Dame. A lot of people are like, oh my gosh, it's a 10-point line. That's high. And I'm like, Ohio State just beat teams that I think might be better than Notre Dame by 25, 20, 14. So we'll see. It's a national championship game. Anything can happen. But I think it's not a good matchup for Notre Dame. This is not the team that they wanted to see, trust me.
I just looked this up to double check it. So, the line for a couple of days was, holding steady at 9.5. Ohio State was favored by 9.5. I thought it might tick up, and it still might. Ohio State might be favored by double digits barely by the time kickoff rolls around. But right now, it's ticked down. Money's coming in on the Irish. It's 8.5 Ohio State, which I find interesting. Now, this could be the Sharps betting it down a little bit so then they can go big and bet it back up. We never know. But it's interesting that it's ticked down a point, but we don't need to focus on that.
I can tell you why that happened.
Oh, okay.
Notre Dame has an enormous fan base.
Like, we're not?
Yes, but Ohio State's fan base is, I would say, one that is a little less want to put that extra money on themselves. If you ever watch in the preseason, like with the bet over-unders, the preseason rankings, the two teams that until this year or last year essentially were always the ones that never met their over-unders, that always struggled to cover. They always had the lines that were inflated were Michigan and Notre Dame, right? And then Michigan had their line help with the cheating scandal that Harbaugh went through. That was why they were so impeccably good against the line. But for years, those were the teams that had lines that seemed a little odd because they factored in how fervent their fan bases were for betting on them with their heart versus actual intelligence. And that factors into how they set the line. Because the line's not what they think is going to happen. The line is just how do they balance the money on both sides and make the money in the middle.
All right, everybody. Let's give the offensive line a round of applause, everybody. Chat included. Chat. I want to see you guys clapping. Just like when we did the SEC chant, SEC, we had one of the chat doing it, people on the show doing it. So nice little round of applause for the offensive line. Donovan Jackson, I mean, just swings out to left tackle, has a decent game against Abdul Carter, his first game ever playing left tackle in college, and then hasn't given up a sack since. Gave up a sack to Abdul Carter, who's, he's pretty good at football.
He's all right.
And then Donovan Jackson has not given up a sack since. You got Luke Montgomery played every freaking snap of the Cotton Bowl, played well after they had to dust him off about 4 years ago. It's insane, man. Carson Hinsman, there was an APB out for him. He steps in at center for the Remington Award winner. He's got to clean up his shotgun snaps a little bit, but overall he looks and is playing like a warrior. Obviously, the tandem there, the Lakota tandem. You got Lakota West with Tegra, Lakota East was Ciravel there at right guard, holding it down. And then you got Josh Fryer, the veteran over there, the fifth-year senior at right tackle. Justin Fry doing a good job coaching them up. Tim Drevno having him as a quality control analyst, helping with the offensive line. Chip Kelly. So kudos to the O-line backs.
It's the spot, too, that we've talked about a lot this year where there's been some criticism, especially related to the recruiting that we have on the line, right? A lot of lower-rated guys missed out on David Sanders. Sanders talked about how close he was to switching to Ohio State, but, close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. And so at the end of the day, this line has been a triage unit. And for whatever reason, it seems like every time they make a change, the play almost improves. So, it's a very interesting situation. It'll certainly blow up the whole narrative of, your offensive line has to be elite from the jump and stay the same the whole year because, OSU, I think they've played 9 or 10 O-linemen now in major minutes in these games.
At least 9, right? Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah. And the other thing I'm going to take away from this, and there's probably more than one guy to say this about, but, man, Donovan Jackson, if he's not a first-round pick after all this, if you're watching the NFL and you're seeing guys who play guard and tackle, I don't know how much more money he's made, but he's made himself a lot more attractive draft pick. Mm-hmm. This guy, he is the best example you'll ever see of an O-lineman coming back to college to build up his draft stock. Because the way that this season has gone, Jackson might have been a 4th or a 5th last year. Jackson's no worse than a 2nd right now, for sure. Maybe probably a late 1st.
His future's so bright. He has to wear Goodr shades. I'm gonna let you guys know about Goodr. You guys know I love Goodr shades. I better take them off so I can actually. I can read the ad with it. Goodr's fantastic because they look good. They cost $25. I think the most expensive. They start at 25. Some are 30. Some are 35. That's their most expensive one is 35. So you're spending 25, 30, 35. I really like them, and they're very durable. I like everything about them. And we can get you guys a good deal. If you'd like to support the show and try a pair, Goodr is giving Bucknuts Morning 5 listeners free shipping. You can go to goodr.com/Bucknuts. Use code Bucknuts for free shipping. Goodr offers 30-day money-back guarantee and 100% satisfaction. You won't need that 30-day money-back guarantee, but it's nice that it's there. It's nice that it's there because I could throw this as hard as I could against this wall here, and they wouldn't break. They don't break, and they're just awesome. The only thing that they're not proofed against is like me losing them, which I do a lot with sunglasses, which is why I'm glad these were like $30. So I just bought a few new ones. But guys, go to Goodr.com/Bucknuts. Use code Bucknuts for free shipping. Goodr.com/Bucknuts. Use code Bucknuts for free shipping. These will be coming with me to Atlanta, Georgia, my friends, because I looked at we're gonna have a day in the 60s where it's gonna be sunny, 60s, maybe 60 exactly. But looking forward to that. Looking forward to getting out of the 4-degree weather here and enjoying some sun and with my Goodr sunglasses. So there you go. All right, moving right along. So many platitudes to go around here. I mean, just my gosh, you look at this defense. It's like so many guys are playing awesome that are kind of not getting lost in the shuffle, but we're probably not talking about them enough. Jordan Hancock is Exhibit A there. It's just crazy backs. Just the entire starting defense, basically. It's amazing. This defense is exactly what I wanted it to be, but dare I say better, a tick better.
Yeah, this defense is – I don't think anybody could have anticipated the goal line stands that we've seen. That's the simple answer, Dave. I put this in the bucket last week where I don't know if OSU in its history has ever had a defense that's overall done better in goal line to go situations. This year, they're the number one red zone defense in the country in terms of touchdown percentage. They have not one but two all-time level kind of defensive stands on the goal line. The Penn State game, of course, and then the Texas game now. The fact of the matter is that once this defense kind of got turned into what Jim Knowles should have been allowed to do the whole time after the Oregon game, and when all of a sudden turned into the defense that we thought we were going to get, they've been lights out. I mean, let's face it. Like the loss in the game is not on the defense. The defense did everything they possibly could under the sun to win that football game. I think Jack Sawyer learned his lesson when he picked that ball off against Michigan that he needed to go score. That was the one thing that I think the defense had to learn. But other than that, there's nothing wrong with the way the defense has performed this season. They're the best defense in the country, and if Ohio State wins a national championship and you're the best defense, you've done your darn job.
Jim Knowles, man, we got a chance to talk with him yesterday. Did you see that interview? It was nothing different. He's just such a cool cat. Like he just has this little sense of humor about him. But then when you ask him about a guy like Lathan Ransom, he just gives you a very thoughtful answer. And he didn't want to answer my question at all about, can you get into like, how would you describe the role Caleb Downs is playing for you? The way you're deploying him. I said, it seems like he's like a hybrid Mike. He's like, I'm not going to get into any of that tactical stuff, which I kind of liked. I'm like, I didn't mean you could have dumbed it down for us a little bit. I didn't mean you get into all the X's and O's, but yeah, I mean,
it was easy to give you an answer, Dave. Troy Polamalu. The next question.
I should have said that. I should have said my guy back says he's like a Troy Polamalu without the hair.
That's what he is.
I agree.
They both are wild men on the field. They both love Jesus. They both are awesome at football. I don't know what else to say. Caleb Downs can be doing shampoo commercials before you know it.
I mean, that looked like when they did that pitch, that crack pitch to the boundary, that looked like a Polamalu flying in there.
Yep.
And Downs doesn't get credit for the tackle, but he blew that whole play up. Best safety combination in the country, Downs and Ransom.
Oh, yeah. Ransom's gotten better watching Downs. That's another thing I think needs to be pointed out. Ransom's ball recognition. He was always a good, solid defensive player, tackling up in the run support game. I mean, I think when he got hurt, he was leading the team in tackles last year or the year before. It was 2 years ago. But, like, at the end of the day, he is so much stronger in play recognition from playing with Downs. That's what I have to attribute it to, because Ransom, he was fine before. He's good at it now. He's really good at play recognition now.
How about, like, I don't know what happened with Denzel Burke. I've talked about it. I'm not sure if he got benched because he missed the tackle and never returned, or if he was dealing with an injury, or if both things are true. Like, he was dealing with a minor injury and then he missed the tackle and they're like, okay. But But regardless, man, life's good when, especially in IGB's playing really well at corner. The aforementioned Jordan Hancock, whether you consider him a corner or a safety, he's the slot guy. IGB's playing really well. And then if Burke's not playing well or Burke's banged up or both, you can just slide in Jermaine Matthews. I mean, this is good business, my friend.
Yeah, and I think Denzel Burke had sort of bounced back from that nightmare game against Oregon midseason for him, or I think they were like 8 for 8 targeting him for like 150 yards. I think in that last game that it's very clear cut when they took him out. So to me, it just seemed like Matthews was playing better, and they left Matthews in. That was my guess, but you never know if Burke was dealing with an injury, and Ohio State's not going to come out and talk about it right now with one game to go.
That's right. Ryan Day did say, I'm sorry to cut you off. As Terry rightfully points out on YouTube, Ryan Day did said it's an injury, and I know that. But let's say he did get benched. I'm not saying he did. Let's say that he did get benched. Ryan Day comes out and say, no, it wasn't performance related. He was dealing with a nagging injury. He's going to play though. I'm 100% cool with that. If that's what really happened, he did get benched, but Day said, no, it's an injury. That's called having the back of your player and not throwing him under the bus. I don't know what happened, but yes, Terry, Ryan Day did say it's an injury. Everybody can draw their own conclusions, but I'm just glad that he's going to play in the game. We have Jermaine Matthews, and this defense is just absolutely lights out. We've known about their talent backs, and Jim knows what he's doing, what Laurinaitis is doing, but Cody Simon doing what he's doing now, I didn't see that coming. Everybody on this defense is playing at an extremely high level, and it's just so much. I don't know how Notre Dame's going to move the ball. Banged up Notre Dame, moving the ball against this defense. Okay,
they're not a great passing team. They don't have the receivers, for example, that Texas did. Golden and Wingo are both far better than anybody Notre Dame has. And with how healthy that receiver core is, they have a kid who's one of their best lacrosse players, who is like one of their key receiving targets right now, right? And good for him that he's a multi-sport athlete playing in national championship games in the same year. But at the end of the day, the reality is they don't have the receivers that I think are really going to be a major threat to this secondary. Notre Dame's going to want to run the ball. They're going to want the Riley Leonard quarterback run to be an impact. And I will say this. I talked about Trestle Ball earlier. Trestle Ball in 02 had Mike Jenkins. Trestle Ball in 02 had Chris Gamble at receiver. Both of those are wildly better receivers than anything Notre Dame has. And Riley Leonard is trying to be the best Krenzel he can be, right? But Riley Leonard does not have Maurice Claret behind him. He has a banged-up Jeremiah Love. There's a big difference in that level of Trestle Ball that is available to Marcus Freeman versus what was available to Jim Tressel 23 years ago.
Also want to give props to G. Scott Jr. People keep asking me, well, how come you're not having G. Scott Sr. on the show? Trust me, I'm going to have whatever he wants. He knows. G, to his credit, Sr., I think he didn't put in these exact words to me, but actions speak louder than words. And we text a lot, trust me. But I think G Sr. wanted to lay low knowing this was Junior's final year of playing college ball. But beyond that, so I'm going to get G. Scott Sr. on the show, maybe after they win the national championship. But props to G. Scott Jr., man. I mean, he's gone from a guy that's like, okay, maybe he can be like a solid number 2 tight end to like he's like that play was absolutely massive. He made 5 catches in the game, but that one where he set up the 4th and 2, he broke like 4 or 5 tackles that allowed them to run that Will Howard power to pick up that first down. I mean, credit to G. Scott Jr. He's got 26 receptions on the season.
Yeah, he's had a nice year. There's no question about it. And this is a young man that could have easily tapped out in a time and age of the transfer portal. I mean, he came here as a receiver. Let's not forget that. Right. He came here as a 4-star receiver, and he's transitioned himself over his time at Ohio State into a pretty darn good tight end. You know, we talked about it for years. Ohio State didn't have tight ends that caught the football, and you got a guy with 26 catches right now. You got a guy they're designing plays to get the ball to him. I mean, at the end of the day, we don't have a lot of tight ends that we've designed the plays to get the ball to over the years. And G. Scott is having multiple times that he's the primary target on a play. So that's something I think that has to be pointed out there too, with the level of trust the coaching staff has in him. That 3rd down play will be one of the unsung moments that when the people watch this game in 5 years, almost no one's going to remember. Or when they do the Big Ten drive-by on it and Big Ten Network, you're going to be watching the game like, oh, yeah, we were tied. This is a great drive. Will Howard has the big run, right? And then you're going to go, oh, yeah, I forgot about that play. That's what's going to happen.
Right.
But it's an enormous play. I mean, it was a 5-yard difference. And that was all willpower. You know, I said it on the postgame show after we beat Texas. Remember that Jeremiah Love touchdown they showed where he broke 7 tackles and got to the goal line? I mean, G. Scott did the same thing. It was just in the 47-yard line. You know what I mean? It's the same play.
Let's get to this real quick from Facebook. Matt, I know a lot of people are wondering this. Who's better, Julian Sand or Tavian St. Clair? Are we talking about next year? I would say Julian Sand, because here's a couple things. All right, who handpicked Julian Sand when he was in high school? I mean, Ryan Day wanted him pretty bad coming out of high school too. Nick Saban. Okay, Nick Saban wanted him. If it wasn't for Nick Saban retiring, Julian Sand would still be in Tuscaloosa. Ryan Day was over the moon, I know, to get him. And I think they're happy with how he played this year in practice overall as a freshman. So I think it's going to be Sand. Another thing about St. Clair, I love his talent. I love his size. I love his demeanor. I love his arm strength. I love everything about him. But we've got to be patient with him. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope he comes from small school Bell Fountain, comes right in here and sets the world on fire. But, like, even if you're coming from a bigger school in Ohio, it'd be tough to come in. When you look at Braxton's freshman year, Wayne plays. That is a much higher level of football than Bell Fountain, the Wayne Warriors. Mm-hmm. And I thought Braxton, all things considered, actually played pretty well as a true freshman. That antiquated offense and that
playbook was run left. Braxton run around, make something happen.
And he did, and he beat Russell Wilson that year, which is funny. True freshman Braxton Miller beat Russell Wilson that year when Russ was at Wisconsin. But give me Sand for next year. Now, in the future, I don't know who's going to be better, but I think for next year, it's definitely Sand.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the conversation too. You know, I think everybody sort of was like, well, Aaron Nolan's in the portal. He's gone. Devin Brown's in the portal. He'll go as soon as this is over. Lincoln Kienholz. But Kienholz says he's staying. And I think a reason that Kienholz is staying is I think Kienholz, A, sees an opportunity to compete for the job. And B, I think everybody knows Tavian needs a little time to develop. And I won't be surprised one bit if what ends up happening is that Sand starts next year, and then you create that age, that eligibility gap a bit between St. Clair and Sand. St. Clair might play in a game or two, but it won't take his red shirt away. And I think what we're going to see is that Sand and Kienholz are going to compete for the starting job. Who's better long term? That is the beauty in the eye of the beholder sort of thing. That's something we're going to have to watch play out. I think Sand's a little more ready right now, but I think St. Clair might have the higher ceiling just because of his obvious athletic gifts. So if that sounds like I'm on the fence and don't have a true answer, that's probably correct. But that's sort of where we're at right now.
Good stuff, my friend. I will let you go. I'll stay on just for a little bit. I'm going to answer a couple more questions, and I got to get going myself because we have interviews at the WAC in about an hour and a half. All right. I appreciate it, Bax.
Go Buckeyes.
Go Bucks. He is Mr. Baxendell. Catch his column every Sunday. It is the Bucket. It is must-read material. Matt Baxendell. This will be the National Championship Preview edition of the Bucket. So read Bax's column every Sunday. All right. One more read, and then I'm going to answer some questions, and then I got to get the show up and get my butt over to the Ohio State University. Ryan Day and players. For those just tuning in, we're getting Ryan Day and 5 players to be named right around 11 a.m. to 11:30. It'll go later than 11:30, but it'll begin at 11 a.m. I want to let you guys know about Joy Mode and a great deal you guys can get. Joy Mode is the all-natural sexual performance booster, and we've got a great deal for you guys. Joy Mode features just 4 simple, proven ingredients, all natural. Unlike prescription options that involve doctor visits and managing refills, Joy Mode provides a straightforward, effective solution. Join over 200,000 men who trust Joy Mode to boost their performance without the side effects. If you are looking to take your game to the next level, visit tryjoymode.com. Use code Bucknuts at checkout for 20% off single purchases and 30% off subscription orders. That's TRYJOYMODE.com and use code Bucknuts for 20% off single purchases and 30% off subscription orders. All right, let's jump into some questions here. I will definitely do that, Deetra. Knowing me, I'll bump into him. This time I'll know who it is, though. That was not. He's such a nice young man. Yeah, and if they list him at 6'1", I'm not buying it. He's tall. He's as tall. I'm 6'3". He's as tall as I am. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm 6'2" then. No, I'm 6'3". Devin's a tall dude. He looked like one of the upperclassmen. I was like, is that? I'm trying to think, like, what like veteran DB is that? And it was, and then it's like, oh yeah, it's Devin Sanchez. Yes, I will. And we might be so bundled up we won't recognize anybody. My gosh, I went out there and started my daughter's in high school. I went out and started her car for her this morning. Good thing I did that. It took about 20 minutes for that thing to turn in from a frozen block of ice, as 4-degree temperatures will do to a car. Yeah, he's 6'2". Man, maybe I am 6'2" then. I thought we looked about the same height. Maybe I'm a tad taller than him. See, now we're gonna have to, I'm gonna have to go do the back-to-back with Devin, see what's up. I'm sure he'll enjoy that. Hey, your mom listens to my podcast. It's like, I don't care. No, he probably wouldn't say that. All right, a couple quick questions and we'll get you guys out of here. John on YouTube, what are some of the matchups that are a must-win for the Buckeyes to host the Natty Trophy? I'm not trying to be cocky here. I'm just saying, like, there's not even one particular matchup. I guess I'll go offensive line. I mean, if the offensive line can just play like they've played, I think Notre Dame's in trouble. But I think it's really as simple as this. If Ohio State doesn't shoot themselves in the foot overall, they're going to win this game. Does Ohio State have to play their A game to win this game? No. They can't play their C- game or their D game. They can play their B game and win this game. And why do I say that? Well, if they don't turn the ball over, or if they at least win the turnover battle or have a stalemate, that's good news for Ohio State. All right. If I'm going to say this like jokingly, if they can like have less penalties than Notre Dame, like that ever happens. If they don't get completely screwed in the turnover department or the penalty department, and as it seems like they always do, could there be one holding penalty this game called, against Notre Dame? That'd be rare. But if they don't get killed in penalties, if they don't shoot themselves in the foot with turnovers, things like that, I just feel like if Ohio State can play a somewhat clean game, they're going to be really tough to beat. I just don't see how Notre Dame's going to be able to move the ball consistently. They'll have their plays, but consistently against this Ohio State defense. Ohio State's defense against this Notre Dame offense, banged up Notre Dame offense, this is as good of an Ohio State defense as I've seen, and I don't say that lightly. And I did not feel that way for much of the year, certainly not after the Oregon game. But since then, since they re-engineered it, oh, baby, this is as good as I've seen from an Ohio State defense. And again, I do not say that lightly. All right, one more. Joel on the Book of Face. Will Notre Dame stay in man the entire game? They will not. They already do mix it up a little bit. It's been said out there, all they do is play man, so I know what you're saying. But, like, that's not completely true. They do. Al Golden's a heck of a good defensive coordinator. And we know Marcus's thing is defense, too. So they've got good defensive coaches. Al Golden's a great defensive coordinator, in my opinion. They've played some zone this year. And I expect them to play a little bit more in this game. You can't go from playing 10% zone to playing like 70%. You just can't do it. You haven't practiced it enough. Your players, it's not something you're going to do going into game 16 when you've done one thing the same way for 15 games. They can and will tweak. They have extra time to prepare. They had an extra day to prepare than even Ohio State since their game was the previous day. So we'll see more zone than we're accustomed to seeing from Al Golden and Notre Dame. How much more? I don't know. They'll mix things up, though. He's very good. They'll mix things up. So we'll see a little bit more zone. But they're a man defense. And you got to think, if you're Notre Dame, listen, doing what we do got us here. Dance with who you took to the, I don't even remember how it goes. Dance with who took you there. Yeah, there we go. Dance with who took you there. But or who brought you. Yeah, I mean, So I think Notre Dame, part of them is going to be like, listen, this is what we do. We do it well. And yeah, other teams couldn't do, but we can. Okay. But I think Al Golden's not going to be stubborn. He knows he's going to have to mix things up, and they will. So, man, I can't wait. I can't wait. Can the game be tomorrow? No. It's good. Monday's good enough. So appreciate you guys. Appreciate Bax. Keep it locked to Bucknuts. I better get my butt moving so I can get the podcast version of the show up so I can get over to Ohio State. Thanks to all of you. Appreciate it very much. Hope everyone has a great rest of your day. Go Bucks.